It's the greatest intro video ever.
What do you think of that one? That's a bit mad, isn't it? You see the date, 28th of August. It was
the out of context bit because it's like I'm wearing sunglasses in the middle of like effectively a nightclub and I've got them tied around my neck.
Yeah, that was a mad old night. Hello, everybody. Yeah. Welcome back to All Things West Ham, a long overdue All Things West Ham. We've become a massive gargantuan football club currently. It was only right that we bring back some of the usual suspects to discuss that and individual player performances. Going around the houses, I'm going to start with Dennis himself. Dennis, you doing Movember, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I shaved early this morning, and this is how quickly my beard grows, ladies and gents, which is why I never shave. But for the month of November, I do grow a moustache for charity. There will be a donation page or donation link on my Twitter page when I can be bothered to make it. But yes, that is where the beard has gone.
If you give me the link, I'll put it in the description so people can donate directly from there. I'll get a catchy title, don't you worry. Bowen for England. Bill, how are you doing, mate? We've had some fantastic results recently. Obviously, the Man City game on Wednesday and last night. How are we feeling about West Ham in general? It's been a buzz from one game to another.
Yeah, incredible, mate. I mean, it's absolutely amazing to be a West Ham fan at the moment. And I don't see it slowing down with the confidence in the players and obviously some of the individuals, which we'll talk about shortly. And and that's a brilliant time to be a fan. I'm really enjoying it.
Listen, lads, you know I love talking about West Ham, but this might be the biggest question of this evening. What takeaway did you have tonight, Charles?
I didn't actually have a takeaway. I went on the
no stains on the white t-shirt.
No stains. There you go. That's how you the only reason I went on Corey was on a live show before going on this one. I just went on the comment section because he was like, we were just, Dennis and I were waiting in the backstage, just waiting for him to get on. And so I just said, hurry up, Corey. I've got my takeaway's gotten cold. He didn't even appreciate it. So,
sorry, mate. I only saw it.
And I can see you scuffing your food right now, Corey. So scuffing your dinner right now.
Busy man, mate. We've been through the work situation plenty of times. But on a serious note, how excited have you been with West Ham at the minute? Obviously, you went up on Wednesday as well. Just a buzz around the club and the players at the minute. It's like Bill says, it's a joy to watch.
Yeah, it's unreal. It's really unreal. I mean, that Wednesday, it feels like every occasion, every London Stadium game that we have, every home game we have is like a special occasion now, which is great. But Wednesday especially was amazing. And then, Saturday getting drawn with Tottenham in the Cup. I think we're all looking forward to that. We'll be putting our names in the ballots. Looking to get tickets for that in December. Well, I think we beat Conte, didn't we? Conte and Chelsea in the Cup. When he was in charge of Chelsea, didn't we? So, if we can do it again with Tottenham. If anything, it'll be easier with Tottenham. But I would say that. They'll probably smash us now. But yeah, and then yesterday, obviously, doing the watch. It was, just... It felt like it was sort of written in the stars, really, that we were going to win. Obviously, getting the 4 goals as well really helped it. But, yeah, we're just a massive club right now. And yeah, I'm loving Basmati, Billy Mons, and Tart and Diego Simeone doing what they do best.
It's tough. There's so many good players to talk about, isn't there? Let's start with Dec. Let's get it out of the way. Obviously, you lads in the chat were having me in fits earlier. I was getting my coffee, coming through with the old Basmati Bonds and 30-yard sideways passes. I've got to be honest, he's been very, very good for a number of seasons now. But this year, for me, he's gone up another level. And I think he's... And again, I wouldn't say this if I didn't mean it. I think he's one of the most well-rounded DMs in the league. I can't put it any other way.
Stunned in silence.
Well,
I mean, I'm still shocked that he passed it backwards into the goal from that far out. Because
West Ham
Liverpool
clips.
fan that does not know
West Ham clips.
anything about football says he just passes backwards and Henderson is 4 times the player he is, or whatever his chuntering nonsense was this day of the week.
No, West Ham clip said it best. He said, he couldn't pass it. He couldn't do his usual sideways pass, so he just had to do what he did. He just had to go for goal really and pass it sideways from 30 yards out, and just lucky it worked out for him.
Where's the ceiling, Bill? Where's the ceiling for Declan Rice? He just keeps on improving. I think there's a good argument he's been one of the most continually improving players in the Premier League over a number of seasons. Where is his ceiling?
I think he's still got levels to go, mate. As you rightly said, he's played well for a number of years now, but right at the moment, he's in a real purple patch, I'd say. He's elevated his game to. He's not just one of the best holding midfielders. I'd say just one of the best midfielders in the league. I'd say. Obviously, he's completely undroppable for West Ham, and the same for England. And as I say, he's just like reached levels which we thought he was capable of, but for him to sustain it over a period of time has been an absolute pleasure to watch. And it's every game now. He's a man of the match in every game now. So it just shows the level that he's playing at, and it's frightening how well he's playing at the moment.
I think as well, Dennis, you can chime in on this, but we've seen Dec for a number of years defensively be superb, but I think in terms of the offensive stats, they speak for himself in terms of progressive carries, his passing percentage. You look at his passing range, the goal that he's adding to his game. He's just a phenomenal football player, mate. I don't know how else we can put it.
Yeah, and what's ridiculous as well is all these pundits and all these people saying how great he is, yet there's still your average fan that only watches the Premier League highlights on YouTube that says things such as, "Oh, it's the first time I've seen him have a shot on goal." Well, that's because you've only watched the highlights this season, and it is his first goal in the league. Yeah. So it really is astounding how people that don't watch him play or only watch at best match of the day or when we play Man United, and then they seem to be experts on him, saying that actually he's a £40 million player. Whereas if you break it down, so many statisticians from many clubs, not just West Ham fans, so many newspaper articles credit Declan Rice's all aspects of his play. There's those little nicks, those little touches he has to break up the play. His tackles that then split, turn defence into attack for us. The barnstorming runs, the shots, the crosses. He's got plenty. Probably willing to possibly go on a limb here. I think he's got more assists than any other holding midfielder I can think of this season.
Probably.
I can't think of another holding midfielder that gets as many assists as him. So he's not only is he a CDM for us, but he's also a creative spark that sort of links defence and attack. And although we've touched on it, that him being a bit more offensive has detrimented Souček a little bit, but it may have improved the team a little bit, which is
interesting.
Bit of a conundrum.
It's interesting. Charles, how do you see that balance between Dec and Souček? Because for a while it seemed to be slightly off. Obviously, Dec became the number 8 and Souček sort of sat slightly deeper. Now we're seeing a return to the old dynamic. I just feel that it suits us, if I'm honest, mate. I feel that's the way we should go. We know how effective Souček is in making the runs. But even when Dec has become that number 6 again, he's still proactive in the final third. He's still finding passes. He's still influencing things. You're on mute, mate.
There we go.
What a wonderful answer.
Shocking. That's like a standard Teams meeting right there. I think with Deckers, it was similar with the goal really that he scored yesterday. Just because he's playing in that holding role doesn't mean that he can't get forward. And I think there was, like you said, there was a few games this season where that sort of midfield dynamic was kind of out of sync maybe a little bit, because obviously Deckers want to improve going forward and everything like that. I think they've worked those kinks out between them. I think Souček's improved for that as well. He's certainly been better in these last few games. And I think that midfield dynamic, if they can communicate as well as they have in these last few games for the majority of the season, then coming into the season, they're one of the most underrated midfield partnerships in the league.
Yeah.
And they're definitely one of the best midfield partnerships in the league as we speak. So I think every superlative has been said about Dec. The fact that he's still 22 and still going to improve massively is just so exciting. And like Bill says, he's pretty much putting in a man of the match performance every single game. So it feels like it will stand out more if he has a bad game, because he really hasn't had one for us.
I know. I genuinely cannot remember. I think even in terms of misplaced passes, I think someone said that he's only misplaced or been dispossessed once in 900 minutes of football, which for a player that's actually playing a little bit further up as well, it just shows you his quality on the ball. I'm going to put a devil's advocate out, and any of you can take this, of course. If West Ham can push for the top 4, if we can go far in the Europa League, is there part of Declan Rice that thinks, I want to stay at West Ham? Because I think all of us feel that inevitably he will go on. But is there any way that West Ham, in terms of performances this season, can convince him to stay past the end?
I personally don't think it's
Certainly.
inevitable that he's going to go. I don't think it's going to be inevitable that he's going. I mean, especially the way we've been going this season. I mean, the only team I could potentially see him going to is Chelsea, obviously because of the family roots and the sort of boyhood aspect of it. But I mean, other than Chelsea, I mean, I don't think it's inevitable that he's going to United. United are below us and completely mismanaged at the moment. With City, Pep's not going to be there in another year. So depending on what management they have, it'll be a risky move to go over there. I don't think it's inevitable at all that he leaves. I think if anything, it's a stronger case to be made that he's.
I like it. I can tell there's a lot of optimism, even though it went silent. Bill, do you want to come in?
Yeah, pretty much agree with what Charles said. I think it'd be more inevitable Deck would be leaving if we were fighting relegation as always, or going nowhere mid-table. The fact that we backed up a fantastic season last season, with our fantastic start to this season, and not only in the league but in the Europa League as well, obviously going great in the Carabao Cup as well. So I think it shows it's not a flash in the pan. I think that's what Deck wants. He wants to play for a side that's constantly in the European spots, and that's what West Ham are at the moment. So if we were, as I say, if we were like struggling or like playing rubbish, or like we were struggling, and and he was like by far the best player in a poor side, then well, of course it'd move on, no question. But I don't think it's as obvious that it'd move on. I think he's enjoying the responsibility of being captain as well, and you can see how much it means to him, not only his performances but his reaction with the fans, and obviously the rest of the players, Ben Johnson being one of them. So whether he'll go, I think there is a chance, but it's not as high a chance as it probably was maybe a year or two ago.
No, I completely agree. The reason why I say it is because when a player is performing at that level, you expect them to want Champions League football. I guess from a football point of view, you're flourishing in this system. Moyes trusts him. You're bang on. He's the captain. The fans absolutely love him. I'm sure a lot of you would have seen the chant yesterday. In terms of his progression, it's just a question of, and this is why I've loved watching West Ham over the past year, can we keep meeting it? What in Declan's head needs to be a tick box in terms of this is the right club for me? Dennis, what do you think would constitute that?
Well, I think keeping up what we're going, but with this, possibly going segues into another conversation with this Czech lad.
It's not Haller, is it?
Oh, no. If we had Haller here, Eck would have signed a 20-year contract. But anyway, I digress. With this Czech lad that's looking to buy us, we get some investment in January, and if we keep on this roll, even if we don't get top 4, if we're at least knocking on the door for it, I only see again if Bank of England money come in for him, or if he decides and goes, actually, I want to join Chelsea because it is his boyhood club. That's the only other way I can see him leaving, really. And no amount of Man United fans crying will change that. Crying that he's only worth 60 million and we should accept him. But then they were demanding 40 million for Lingard with 1 year left on his deal.
Don't worry, mate.
We've been over it a million times.
Year, so.
Cool. He wants to play for a team with ambition, and at the moment we are playing like a club who is like that.
Yeah, we need the ambition to be shown in January to invest in a centre forward, and hopefully this is what the stake that this Czech guy is buying in could finance that in January. So otherwise, why would he do it now? He'll probably do it. It would be better to wait a little bit, do it next season ahead of the summer window. So that's the only reason.
I think it's interesting.
Potentially going ahead.
You look at the amount of speculation that there obviously has been around Declan, probably for the past 2 years. One where we were performing well under par to where we're at now, and one obviously where we just got in the Europa League. He seems quite patient with it, if I'm honest. He shut it down very early in the transfer window, or at least to a point where we thought he wasn't going to go towards the end. And again, Dennis, you touched on this Czech investment. It's possibly a huge thing for this club. We don't know the ins and outs. Obviously, we've heard the basics, 27% stake, possible investment in January. If West Ham can buy 2 or 3 or definitely a striker in that January transfer window, Charles, where do you think we can go with this team? Because at the minute, we're competing with every side we face. We're going far in the cup competitions. A few more additions, and surely West Ham can stabilise nearer the top end.
Yeah, I mean, how long have we been crying out for a backup striker now? It seems, for me, if we made just that signing in January, I'd be pretty happy. Obviously, there's other areas where, maybe there could be a little bit more, but maybe left back, another backup left back potentially, but, we have another decent backup striker, as opposed to just a body. Sky's the limit, really. I think top 4. If we're still in the same vein of form that we're in currently, by January, I think top 4 isn't a far away ambition. It's a hard ambition, but certainly if we get that extra striker in, it could be much more realistic. But yeah, I really, the way we're performing at the moment is just unbelievable. I can't remember seeing us having this type of form ever as a West Ham fan. And whatever we can do to supplement that is only going to help us in achieving what we want to achieve this year.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I think just a playing style, Bill, I don't know if you agree, but we've seen sometimes in games this season where we try to play out from the back and we try to be a little bit more progressive. Yesterday was more of a counter-attacking style. How important it is that David Moyes as a coach is able to show different looks in different games that will mean that West Ham can compete against different teams.
No, it's vital. That's what the coach is there to do. But I think we've evolved as a side this season. I think that's proved not only in the results but the performances as well. I mean, we played on the counter quite a lot last season, which worked. It suited our players, and the results prove that. But if you're going to sustain where you are and even improve, which I think we have, then you've got to evolve and play more from the back and keep more possession, create more chances, which we've done. So, the game against Villa was a bit back to how it was last season, but that's fine as long as you get the results. That's all that matters. So, it's good. It's good to see when we can vary our styles compared to different teams we're playing, whether it's home or away as well. And and I think it's proved in how we've played as well. I mean, you can't shithouse your way to European spots over a season because you need to play well in majority. You can, there are certain games where you're not at your best, but you get the results. But you can't sustain it over a 38 game season, like Premier League season.
Yeah.
So it shows the performances have been there, and it's not too outlandish to say that we probably should be unbeaten this season.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, obviously, we've run into a rich vein of form. I know we've done well. We've been unbeaten. You look at Palace, you look at Southampton. It's not that far to say that had we been in the form that we currently are now, that we would have beaten those teams, and there would have been another 4 points added to that. And all of a sudden,
but even the 2 games we lost. I mean, Brentford we could concede in the last minute, and Man United we have a penalty in the last minute to equalise, which was saved. So I don't know if and obviously the other competition was doing great as well. So. If we could be unbeaten at the end of October, start of November, and that wouldn't be too outlandish to say.
There's caveats, isn't there? Because in those games that was after Europe, so
yeah. And we know Noble scores that penalty, and the referee blows for full time in the 93rd minute instead of 94th at Brentford, and we have 2 points instead of 2 defeats. It's as simple as that. I'm not saying that that's what it should have been, but I'm just saying both of those defeats have come down to circumstances that. Okay, one isn't necessarily in our control at all. The other one is, but it's a penalty. You're going to miss some penalties sometimes. And we have ridden our luck with penalties with, Antonio having his save at Newcastle and Soucek burying it, Declan hitting the post, and then Lingard missing it, but then getting the rebound last season. So, it's not the first penalty we've missed in recent times. But it's not the sign of a bad side. If it was a bad West Ham in the past, we would have, gotten hammered in some of these games. We wouldn't have finished these chances, or we'd have thrown it away. And the other thing as well, one very quick thing I just wanted to say about the Villa game is, have we discovered our new Glenn Murray in Ollie Watkins? because he always scores.
All I know
doesn't
is,
he?
mate, if
I hope
Watkins is getting
not.
that much space in the box, I don't ever want to see it again. If I'm honest,
No.
he does run the channels very well, and he does find.
He's
the
a lot
space.
quicker than Glenn Murray, that's for sure.
No,
Well, that's
doesn't
not too
take a
hard.
lot, really,
Not too
does it?
hard. Not too hard, is it, Charles? Let's be honest.
I reckon you give him a run for his money, Charles. To be honest.
Let's not go too far, Corey.
I think Snell's run quicker than Glenn Murray.
But Dennis, you obviously touched on it a little bit about mentality. I know the old Tottenham was it Tottenham Fan TV or whatever they are mentioning it. But and I say it a lot actually in some of those post matches. But the mentality of this team this season and last season, even in games where there are patches where you're struggling. Even yesterday, I thought we struggled a little bit against Villa's press. Dennis, how important is it, and how much credit have you got to give to David Moyes for installing that? And even in the post match, to see Dec and Ben Johnson come out and say that wasn't good enough. We can perform better than that. We need to keep going.
Because you know we without that red card, do we win that game 4-1? I'm not so sure personally. Going to be honest with you, gents. I was only able to watch the first half due to prior commitments. I couldn't see the second half. But yeah, credit does have to go to David Moyes. I don't know who that idiot is that wrote on the West Ham way, calling him Scotland's answer to Mr. Bean. I don't think he was ever asked back onto the show, or I don't know what he was drinking when he wrote that. I mean, I think maybe he was a bit stressed out during lockdown. I don't know, but yeah, certainly has proved a lot of people wrong, and it's gotten beyond the stage now where at first non-West Ham fans, either on Twitter or in person, were going, "Oh, it shows West Ham fans don't know what they're on about." But even now, they're like, "Oh yeah, Moyes is exceeding our expectations." When some United fans are talking about taking David Moyes back to replace Solskjaer, he's redeemed himself quite a bit. He's come, and some pundits are saying, that he's maybe a little bit better than he was at Everton. He's learned a couple of things. He's learned from his mistakes. He's licked his wounds. And we are playing a lot. We're scoring a lot more goals than Everton used to. From my memory, Everton used to grind out 1 or 2-0 wins.
Yeah.
Or
especially when they finished fourth, it was like Everton 1-0 every week on Soccer Saturday. Everton 1-0, Everton 1-0.
Yeah, when they had Gravison and Carsley just protecting the defence constantly, like a deep lying 4-4-2. With lump it up to one of Ferguson or to knock it down to Radzinski or Rooney back in the day.
But I think that Everton team had players, didn't it? It had Pienaar, and I know Osborne popped up with a few guys. And they had players.
Cahill,
exactly.
Arteta.
And he knows how to work to strengths. But I think, Dennis, I think you said, I think this team is better than that team. I know it's a long time ago, and maybe we forget, but I just feel in terms of, you mentioned about playing that 4-4-2 at Everton. Saw it work fantastically against Everton away, worked against Tottenham at home. And then yesterday, they're just a higher pressing team. I just feel that when you've got a manager, take Steve Bruce out of it because I know he's got his 1,000th game, but when you've got David Moyes with nearly 1,000 games on Thursday, that has to count for something. It's an absolutely insane amount of games. And to be able to have that and for West Ham to rely on that is key, really, even in grinding out results.
Yeah, he's been there and done it, and at the bad times, not only United and Sociedad and Sunderland. He seems to have, as they learned from his good experiences, obviously with Everton and even Preston before that, and he's learned obviously from the bad experiences. So he's turned to a well-rounded manager, and as he said infamously, but okay at the time, now he's a winner.
Oh yeah.
When is what he does.
What I do.
Again, that guy that wrote that article, I think he wanted the Curb Your Enthusiasm music to play after that. I mean, who's laughing now?
Idiot, I'd say.
Do you know what, though? Let's be perfectly honest. I think we all kind of went through different phases of turning in favour of David Moyes. And some people, it took a lot longer than others. But when you're getting to a level where you've got a manager and every other fan of every other team's going, God, West Ham are doing well. God, David Moyes is doing well. And Bill, you picked up on it. The fact that he's gone to Manchester United, he's struggled. Sociedad struggled. Sunderland struggled. And he's almost on his last legs, really. And it was kind of, at the time, a marriage of convenience. No one wanted to come to West Ham. And he was the only one out there that was going to turn up. And it's just worked. It has just worked. And it shows you... It's actually changed... I don't know about anyone else here, but it's changed my perception a little bit on managers and giving managers time. Because I think we've seen us not tactically just improve. I think individually, there have been players that improved. This season, look at Issa Diop. He's been fantastic. Not a foot wrong in Europe. And I criticised him nearly every single game he played last season.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think but that's the problem with managers who've managed for a long time. Some of them have a shelf life. Not only do players decline, but managers do. You look at even some of the greats like Arsene Wenger. Do you know what I mean?
Martin O'Neill.
Martin O'Neill, Trapattoni, you could argue as well. So yeah, but I think Moyes, if anything, he's getting better with age, which is obviously a brilliant thing for us.
Someone that is also getting better with age, albeit still quite a young player, is Jarrod Bowen. Now, yesterday was a sliding doors moment for me with Bowen. I know people will get on the train very early. I feel like I'm kind of a little bit late. I always appreciated him defensively and work rate. Yesterday, some of the positions he's picking up in those central areas, getting him beyond for his goal, how he's been involved in the goals. I think it's 6 goal involvements now in 8 games. Charles, do you think Jarrod is genuinely knocking on the door of an England call-up? Do you think Southgate has to, at some point, look at him if he continues this form and say he definitely deserves a chance?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, the amount of chances he's creating for us is unreal. I mean, on the watch along yesterday, I was saying to Bill, I didn't think he had the best first half. I didn't think he or Fornals had the best first half. And then about 15 minutes into the second half, him and Fornals just both shot into the game, especially Bowen, of course. I think Bowen essentially made a man of the match performance out of just that second half performance that he had. And I think that's what's so good about him, is that he's got such an engine on him that he can just switch it on at any point. And that left foot is just so good. I mean, I wish he had a right foot as well, but the left foot is so good that
mate, half volley, not too bad.
I mean, yeah. You know what? I mean, he does have the right foot, but yeah. I mean, look, he's definitely going to be knocking on the door. I think I think there's no doubt that he should definitely be within having a shout of being in the setup. But yeah, he's a player that's just improving game on game. But I guess you could say that for a lot of the players that are playing on the Moyes at the moment. A lot of these players, with more minutes on the pitch, are just improving bounds and leaps. And Bowen's kind of the poster boy for that, and certainly proved it with yesterday's performance.
Dennis, where did you sit on the Jarrod bandwagon? At what point did you realise he was going to be a top player?
You can go back over my tweets. I always thought the guy was money. I always said that if he had an extra yard of pace, he'd be playing for one of the big clubs. He'd be playing for Liverpool, Man United, in my opinion. He's just that's all he misses. Again, to an extent, is obviously needing a second foot, but just that little yard of pace that would make him a top winger. He was very good at very tough centre forward, playing in a 4-4-2 for Hull before signing for us. I genuinely believe he should be on our penalties as well. But this season he has stepped it up. He had a pretty good start when he came in, because we really needed something. His first game against, or his first appearance against Liverpool, he was quite attacking for the few minutes he got, and he burst onto the scene against Southampton. Blended in a little bit. Moyes rotated him a bit, as he does, gave him a bit of the Ben Rama treatment, and then he sort of blended in a bit last season. Lingard sort of stole the limelight from the attacking three midfielders, but he really has stepped up and come into his own this season, and I'm glad he's getting the goal contributions. But I was always a fan of Bowen. You said that he stamped that right wing position down. One of the first names on the team sheet for me after Rice, Declan, and Zouma at the minute. And yeah, always was championing us signing him in the summer of 2019 alongside Haller as a good player to provide for him on the wing. I think if we had him all season under Pellegrini, could have been a different story possibly, instead of having Yarmolenko wide right for half a season. But it's done now.
We'll pot the armour chat, don't worry. There's plenty of time for that this season. Bill, it's interesting, obviously, the lads talk about Bowen being a winger. Does it ever feel like to you, because of how Bowen finds positions within the box, how he carries the ball, that he has got that potential a little bit to almost be like an inside forward? And when you see players in the Prem playing those type of positions, they tend to chalk up a lot of goals. And for me this season, Bowen is finding those exact positions that he needs. And we've always said it, when he gets in on goal, a little bit more composure, he could have had even more.
Yeah, I I completely echo what Charles and Dennis have said. I completely agree with everything they've said. I think probably what's holding him back going in the England squad is the goal contributions, but they're coming now. I think the goal against Brentford, obviously the timing of it and the way he took it as well with his weak foot, on the half volley was excellent, and he's got a few more goals since then, hasn't he? So he's capable of, he scored quite a lot for Hull in a really struggling side. So I think he just needs to transfer that goal contributions to this league. But I'm sure he will, and obviously he's got contributed in Europe in that capacity as well. So no, I think that was the only thing. The Brentford goal, like before that, he hadn't scored, but he played so well, and a lot of fans were saying, "What's missing from his game is that goal." Get on the score sheet. He's done that now, so he's a well-rounded winger, inside forward, however you want to say it. And I think he's knocking on the door for England. I think the only thing, as I say, is the goals which should come in, and possibly because the others play Champions League football, that might be it as well. But then again, obviously, Dec is one of the first names on the team sheet, so that's not really held in bad. But he's in a very competitive area of the pitch for England. We're stacked in the wide midfielders, wingers. If he was playing as a centre forward, he probably might have a better chance of getting the squad because they've got a huge amount behind Kane, if we a couple others. But I mean, he's in a very competitive side of area of the pitch. So, but no, he's got to keep knocking the door, especially if we go deep in Europe. And he's one of their star players. I think Southgate will definitely keep a lookout for him. As obviously, we've got the World Cup in exactly a year's time, or 12, 13 months. So, yeah, keeps his form up, he'll be knocking on the door.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about goal contributions, because actually all of our attacking players this season, Fornals and Benrahma, they've all improved in that sense. Yesterday was a real marker for me of how West Ham can get goals across the pitch. Ben Johnson, I've left it long enough. If you got to the end of this video, we will, of course, talk about Ben Johnson. Charles, I mean, for me, I've always seen his quality. We knew he was young. He has had mature performances before. Did it surprise you that he's come in and performed at that level consistently? Bearing in mind, we know Soufal has had that berth for a long time. And Ben Johnson's coming into a very competitive team. And when you look at his opponents, Heung-min Son, Leon Bailey the other day, he's come up against tough tests. How have you been surprised by some of the performances he's shown?
No, not really, to be honest. I mean, he makes his debut against Man City, which is, probably the craziest leap of faith you're going to be getting from a manager coming
on the left as well.
On the opposite side, exactly. So I think straight from the off, he was thrown into the deep end, and he's kept himself afloat really well. I mean, in terms of what I'm more surprised about is people saying, I'm not sure about Johnson. Yeah, he looks like a good sort of, rotation player. And this isn't in the last year or anything. This is in the last few weeks. I've seen comments from people saying like, oh, he's not good enough going on the attack or anything like that. I'm just like, well, firstly, look at how long it took. Well, look at the progress Rice made. He came to the squad and, he wasn't a well beat or anything. He definitely potential and quality and everything like that. But, he's making mistakes, as you would. And now he's the best midfielder in England, essentially, or one of the best English midfielders, definitely the best English midfielder in my eyes. Same thing with Johnson. I think you just got to give him minutes on the pitch, and he's only had a few minutes. He's only had a few minutes in comparison to Rice on the pitch, and boys, he's really taken that chance that Soufal's injury has given him. I mean, to get, what was it, four clean sheets on the bounce, 4 or 5 clean sheets on the bounce before conceding yesterday. I think the stats are saying that he hasn't been dribbled past in a single game that he started this season for us. He's just been immense. He's been immense. He's humble. He's young. He's someone that's going to, improve so much in the future. And the only bad thing that comes out of it is the fact that you've got to drop Soufal, who's been a mainstay in the team, and Fredericks, who seems like he was coming along if it weren't for the injury problems that he has. So, but good for him. He's been sensational, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much he progresses, and hopefully we don't release him at the end of his contract in the summer like another right back we did.
And on that note,
I think he's better than that right back.
Actually, I watched that right back for 90 minutes on Saturday. He was one of the best players on the pitch. One of the few good players on the pitch. For that
we couldn't have 4 right backs, Dennis. It'd be getting to the goal.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I mean in the but and it's another position where we're a little bit stacked at. I mean, Fredericks is certainly the weaker of the 3, in my opinion, but he does certainly have his uses and his versatility. Coming on for the last 20 minutes with his speed. But yeah, as much as there's talk of Soufal's contract, he's not so much happy with the offer. Maybe it could be, and this is a rare moment where I'm potentially going to praise our dictator owners for the Foresight, they're thinking, well, Ben Johnson is going to be better than you in a year or two. So do we really want to give you a bumper 5-year contract on huge money?
There's no
Especially
way
Maybe
after
that is
recently
There's no way they
signing
saw that.
signing with us as well. Like, you know, I'm all for sort of recognising his achievements with us so far. But like you say, I mean, you know,
he
it's,
certainly deserves a pay rise on. I think it's something like 15, 20 grand a week he's on, but don't quote me on that.
Really?
That's what I thought it was. Yeah, that's what I think he got brought on. I remember X made the announcement of the contract at the time. It's a 3-year deal, and so it could be that end of this season they're going to sit down and give him another deal because he'll have 1 year left and assess it. But I'd be more concentrated on getting Ben Johnson down for a long-term deal personally.
I think it's interesting you say that because for a long time now I've been saying I want, but people talk about Fredericks, don't they? And they say who's going to be the backup. I've always said, as much as Fredericks has impressed me, to be fair, in the games and how Moyes has used him, I just think you needed Ben Johnson to have a permanent position on the right hand side where he's going to flourish. And I think in the last 5 games we've seen the quality that he has. I mean, lads, I'm not being funny. You take the ground jewels stat, but he's got the most tackles and interceptions aside from Declan Rice already. And even him getting in the final third, yes, end product, it does need to improve. And maybe Soufal at the minute is the better player, but you can't knock the guy to be 21 years old performing against that level of competition. And I think just a general point, Bill, look at the competitiveness of our defensive options this season. You look at centre backs. People mentioned this. I think it was Dennis on Wednesday about Zouma coming in and that possibly influencing the performances of Issa Diop. How important do you think it is for Ben Johnson to have someone like Vladimir Soufal competing with him and training with him, and both of those egging each other on?
No, without doubt, yeah. All the sides that have won the league or been in the Champions League consistently have at least two internationals per position. So you go back to Chelsea, they had Ashley Cole and then Wayne Bridges as a backup. I'm not saying obviously these guys are anywhere near as good as those two, but do you know what I mean? That's just how competitive that Chelsea side was, and obviously they were very successful. So, yeah, I think I'll touch on what you asked earlier as well. I don't think it's a surprise for me how well Johnson's played. I think maybe his composure in the ball going forward with his runs was a bit of a surprise because I think that was something he needed to work on. Still does with crossing and stuff like that. But I mean, defensively, as you say, against Son and some of the players he's lined up against. I mean, he's been a brick wall. And as a young player, you want youngsters to, when they do get a chance, to grab it with both hands and make yourself undroppable. And that's what he's done. That's easier said than done, though. So fair play to him for actually playing really well for not just 1 or 2 games, a consistent run of games now. I think the Vienna game he come in for, he's played every game since. So, yeah, fair play to him. And, I think, I think he played well at times on the left in his weak position. So from when he went, since he's been playing in his natural right back position, I think it's been a surprise for me anyway how well he's played. And, I think having other good defenders alongside him that definitely helps. And do you remember, lads? We've talked about 3 right backs now, like Johnson, Soufal, and the Fredericks. Do you remember when right back was a real problem position for us?
No, mate.
Not so long ago.
Do you know what I mean? Like when we did
2 years ago.
our worst 11. Then we had loads of players
loads of right backs. Well,
yeah,
we've had lots of times where right back's been a problem, and if you think, let's go back to we had Schemmel on loan, who was fantastic. Signing permanent was terrible. We had Glenn Johnson come through and sold as soon as we got relegated. We only got a few months of him. Then for the next 2 seasons, we dallied around with loans and centre backs. And Christian Daly played right back for us for a bit and then settled on Repka. Then he left, so we had Scaloni. Less said about him, the better. Tyrone Mings and John Pansil, footnote in the history of West Ham. Pansil's more of a meme than anything. Lucas Neal, again, a centre-back playing right-back, struggled a bit, but great captain. Then what? Right. Faubert, 1 good season, then terrible. Then Charles Zero, Lars Jakobsen. We had very injury-prone... We had very, very injury-prone Demel and O'Brien from the Champions
League. Nickel Antonio.
Then we had 15-16, which,
the list goes on, mate, honestly.
Carl Jenkinson had 1 good season on loan. Again, Reed on loan was crap. Then we had Antonio Tompkins, who did a job a bit again, a centre-back playing at right-back. Arbeloa, not even going to comment on that guy. Sam Byram, who just doesn't strike me as... I felt he didn't get if he had a bit more run of games, he had a bit of bad luck with injury. I think if he had a bit more of a run in games, maybe it'd been different, but I don't think so. Zabaleta, who was good, but wheels
Past his
came off
best, yeah.
eventually. And Gakia, dodgy contract, and then we're on Kufal. That is, history of West Ham's right backs over the last 19 years. Dennis has just summed it up in 1 minute for you, as to, with the exception of a couple of lucky loans and players that were very good for us in the Championship, and then but injury prone. Right back has been a big problem for us for most of my lifetime.
I want to keep the spotlight on you, Dennis, because you said something the other day about Aaron Cresswell and his performances and his improvement. Again, the set piece quality is there. Do you think? I think he's defensively improved under David Moyes as well.
But my main point is that for the goals that people do claim he costs us, he creates 10 a season. I don't think he costs us 10 goals a season.
I think he's
he
getting
might
better.
cost us a few.
I think defensively he's getting better.
No, I am saying that, Corey. What I'm saying is, I think although he may cost us a few, he costs us no more than other defenders might, and he still creates 10 goals a season for us.
But I'm saying that to you because I'm the one, and I still think it does play a part. Fornals playing on that left-hand side, giving him a little bit of protection. I do still think that is, but recently, particularly this season, I've seen him in terms of engaging with a tackle, pressing. He's looked better in the air. He's looked slightly better as well. And I just think like those little fundamentals. I just wonder how much of an influence David Moyes has had. And I thought you were just spot on the other night, mate, when you mentioned about how many goals Cresswell actually gets us, and they put a stat up on Sky Sports. Only Trent Alexander-Arnold got more assists last season. And you look at it like that, and you turn it around and think, actually, do you know what? He's not half bad, Cresswell, for 3.5 mil.
Yeah, no, he's getting back for me to level when he first joined. Possibly even better than that. The way he's been playing. Obviously, we've always known about his crossing ability, but I think you're right, mate. Because I remember a couple of years ago when we lost the Wolves in the last minute after Carlos Sanchez gave the ball away, and Cresswell tried to kick Trier off the pitch, and you thought, my God, like, against real pace, you feared for Aaron a little bit, but no, he seems to. I think he seems to be fully over. He's like properly over his injury problems as well. We've got to remember that as well. And yeah, if you're playing every game and you're playing alongside good centre back pairings, and we've got defensive cover in terms of the midfielders play in front of him instead of having Anderson not tracking back. He's got Fornals in front of him. I think that helps as well. But he's getting back to a similar level to when he joined, if not a little bit better. So it's fantastic.
I'm very conscious of time. I don't want to make it an absolute bumper one, but there's one player I just want to shoehorn in here because I don't think we've spoken about it. Now, we were, of course, you were seeing that intro. We were in the pub and someone came over to us and we found out that a certain Kurt Zouma actually signed for West Ham. We were all very, very excited. Charles, how good a signing has he been? Because for me, him and Angelo as a centre-back pairing, I thought would very much complement one another. And I feel that it has. I do feel that it has.
Yeah, I was saying to Bill yesterday, I just couldn't believe that we've got him, really. I think he has he has all the qualities of being one of the best centre-backs in the entire league. I mean, he is that much of a athletic presence, a physical presence, calm, composed on the ball, great winner of headers. I think he had one of the highest rates of one headers in the league over the last couple of seasons. And by all accounts, he seems like a really good personality to have in that dressing room as well. I think just ticks all the boxes. I think out of all the signings that we made in that sort of last week of just rushing for deals, I think Moyes wanted Zouma the most, and boy, was that just a great signing to have made. He's been sensational. Obviously, players higher up the pitch have been grabbing the headlines a bit more, but yeah, as you say, Corey, really good compliment, really good complementary partnership. Him and Ogbonna work really well together. And I think it's also up the game of Issa Diop and Craig Dawson in return. I think having someone as big of a talent as him coming into the team makes them think, right, I've got to step up to that level. And they've been doing outstandingly well in Europa League and in the Cup. So, I think it was just a great signing by the club. And yeah, he's just been sensational.
Man, Bill, is it just me or I feel again, I say it complements Angelo, but it feels like Angelo's game is up there as well. I feel that before it was very much Angelo was our top centre back, and obviously we can talk about Craig Dawson and some of the issues we've had, albeit he's been fantastic in the cup. But having someone like Zouma alongside him with real quality and a player that he feels comfortable in going to try and win the ball, it does play into Ogbona's hands, and I think Ogbona's looked better this season as well.
Yeah, man, Joe's been brilliant for the
or at least in the last 5. I know we had a couple of hairy moments, granted, but since Zouma's come in, that's what I mean.
Yeah, and as you say, guys, the complementary each other well. Obviously, Angelo being left-footed, he's on the left, Zouma on the right. Might not sound a lot, but it does make a difference. Trust me. But Ogbona's been great for the last couple of years, and was by far our outstanding centre back. We've got someone in Zouma who's as good, if not actually better than him. And when's the last time did we buy a defender, particularly a centre back, in the absolute prime of their career?
Yeah, good point.
I don't know. You
haven't, mate. That's the point.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the fee as well, 25 mil. If you compare it to Ben White for 50 mil, look, Ben White's actually played well for Arsenal, to be fair. But him and Zouma and the fee, there's just no comparison compared to what Zouma's achieved in his career. And he's one of you always got to be careful when you buy a player from the top clubs. Are they past they're getting rid of for a reason, but are they past their best, or they just not quite good enough for like the top sides? And that's probably the thing with Zouma, but he's more than good enough for the other other sides in the Premier League, and it's proven that. And he's dominant in the air, he's good with his feet as well, can pass the ball, and being at the games we've all seen live, his leadership qualities as well. He's always constant communication, which is he's worth the money in gold itself. So and obviously he's won trophies, played at the highest level, and he's a winner. I mean, we saw the difference when Lingard came. He's a winner, played at the highest level, and Zouma's had a similar effect, but obviously at the back. So we were all buzzing after that Palace game when it looked like, or it was announced, or going to be announced, and he's proven out with his performance, been really outstanding.
He's certainly an upgrade on Balbuena, as much as I thought Balbuena was better than people say he is. And to answer when the last time we bought a player in their prime, I mean, Bonner, I'm going to say we didn't buy him in his prime because he's had his prime under us, because he had an okay first season and then was pretty shaky for a couple of years. I think the closest to it I can think of was when we signed Gabidon, maybe signing Danny Gabidon.
Maybe Ginge. Maybe Ginge was young.
Ginge also took a while to get into. I think Ginge was when we re-signed Ginge, possibly. I mean, his best years, I think, his peak his peak year was maybe just when he left us, just joined Villa. That was sort of Ginge's peak, in my opinion. But Gabidon's the last time I think we signed a player when he was in his peak of his career. Yeah. I think
defender wise.
Yeah. So centre back wise. Yes, is what I mean. Probably Danny Gabidon, someone that came in, made an immediate impact, and settled and did very well.
Yeah, but even then, I don't think he was in his prime because he was in. We bought it from the Championship, so
it's just clever business, isn't it? Really, because I think everyone would have looked at Zouma and thought, and bear in mind, a lot of people did this. They said he can't play out from the back, and I said, you know what? For West Ham, he's spot on for exactly what we want, and that's why. Fair play to Moyes, because it was getting to a point where everyone was like, do we kind of, I suppose we needed a centre back, but it wasn't a priority. And B, the longer the window went on, the more frustrating it was. But I think with centre backs as well, when you're comfortable at the back, I mean, Zouma's got the recovery pace, he's athletic, gives you impetus going forward as well, knowing you've got that security behind you. So, but the balance of the team is better with him. And I feel really when Deck drops and you've got Deck, Ogbonna, Zouma, I feel safe as houses, really, to be honest.
Well, also, if you remember, everyone was losing their mind because we missed out on Milenkovic, and everyone was saying, was it the agent, screaming at Sullivan. And in the end, Moyes always wanted Zouma was always the first choice, really. So it was probably a case of, Moyes went, well, don't worry, just push on for Zouma. And we got lucky in that Sullivan didn't wreck this deal. So
hopefully he gets out this club sooner rather than later.
There were rumours towards the end, weren't there?
We'll get done for libel, Charles.
That is true.
What was that rumour anyway? What was it to do with? Was it?
I think there was opinion.
Yeah,
There
Yeah,
was
sorry,
opinion that
an
we tried
opinion
to,
on
there's
me.
an opinion that we tried to change the deal at the last minute.
yeah.
There was talk about it being off, but then within about half an hour, people were saying no, it's back on. So it's probably a case of we asked, they said no, so we went, all right, we'll just do it the way you want it.
But
It was
instead
probably
of-
it was one of those
Yeah.
rumors from that one of those journalists that pop up every transfer window potentially.
But it was that thing, wasn't it?
Seems like they have all the inside knowledge.
Do you know what it was? It was I can't remember. It was something to do allegedly with a knee or an ankle, and then someone pulled up the injury record and he hadn't had
That
it
was
for 2
it,
years.
yeah.
And I was
they
like,
were
"What are you talking about?"
Sullivan's
Every
not
medical's
happy
an
with his,
ankle or a knee. It's like every
Oh,
time.
yeah, because
No,
I did the meme of when Mr. Burns as a kid running into the worker. It was like that Sullivan at the medical just driving the driving the Dodgem into Kurt Zouma.
Oh my days. Circus act at times. But lads, look, I've really enjoyed it. I will throw this up. It feels like a team's meeting. So, have we got any other business? Any other
We're
business for any of
massive.
you lads?
We're massive, and I do actually bring that up in AOB at work. I do say just as your daily reminder that West Ham United are fucking massive.
There goes
Genuine
Buddy.
story.
I'm just same as Dennis. Yeah,
Come on, you odds.
yeah, we're massive.
on,
No
you
more,
right backs.
nothing more needs to be said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what we're doing, if we're doing a preview for Liverpool late in the week or something like that, but that will be probably our biggest test of the season so far. I mean, against the massive juggernaut of a team at the moment in Liverpool, have
Well,
arguably
no
one of the
doubt.
best
Get-
players
Get
in
ready.
the world right now in Salah. But
Get the
it'll be
diving
interesting.
boards ready. Get the scorecards for the diving ready, boys.
I'm so honestly, I'm so
The U-boat
intrigued.
captain is
I'm
on his
so
way.
intrigued by this game. I really am. I would love to see us because last season against our performances against bigger teams this season have been so much more improved. And I would like to see us come out with a game plan, be ambitious in moments. I don't think we'll play like Brighton, obviously, because that's not the way that we play. But I think there are things that we could take from that game, and we'll see with a fully fit team, first 11, we could do anything. We really could this season. So can't say fairer than that.
Without doubt. And I think last year, because I remember we were in pretty good form before Liverpool at home last year, and we kind of sat back a little bit and let Liverpool play. But I think this year we're much more positive in terms of how we're set up. The attackers are just on absolute fire at the moment. The only trouble is they've got a pretty decent attack too, so it will definitely be a good game, that's for sure.
Someone called Salah or something like that. He's in some
Sort of overrated.
Yeah,
Some
nothing with
overrated
Jarrod Bowen,
player.
is he? Let's be honest. Right, that's enough. Thank you everyone for joining us on All Things West Ham. It's been a brilliant show, lads. I've really enjoyed that. Obviously, it's been a while since we've really caught up and talked the things regarding West Ham players. Obviously, Jarrod Bowen, the lot. It's been a brilliant moment, I think, to be a West Ham fan. I might do a Liverpool preview. I might get you all back on there. We'll have a little chat about that because there are a lot of things that we can discuss in terms of what Liverpool will present to us, whether we can get a result in that game. But I will leave you all. And make sure you smash the like as well. Don't play around with it. Just smash the like because we will be back. It'll be more regular, I promise. I'm working hard. But one last thing. Just have a little watch of this, just as a reminder.